And good morning, everybody. This is David Lynch. I'm the city manager for the city of Newton Falls, Ohio. And this is your regular COVID-19 coronavirus morning briefing for the city of Newton Falls. The date is April 12th, 2020. And happy Easter morning, everybody. We're glad to have a chance to report to you as to what's going on in Newton Falls related to the coronavirus. We do this every morning while the crisis is going on. And one of the things I wanted to emphasize, as I do every morning, and that is that our reports to you are not ones to be held inconsistent with the State Director of Health, Amy Acton. So watch the governor's briefings at 2 o'clock in the afternoon every day and what Dr. Acton is saying. So if there's a question about health procedures, go with what the state of Ohio is saying. But here in Newton Falls, we want you to have some of the local information. And here on this Easter morning, we've got a lot of things to talk to you about. Well, first of all, I want to talk about something very exciting that's come out of Columbus. The governor of the state of Ohio has announced that truck drivers will now be able to get some hot meals because he's creating a special permit for food trucks to go to the rest stops so that these truck drivers aren't limited to vending machines and things of that nature. And in fact, to get a reaction about that, we have one of our truck drivers from Newton Falls, Ohio. Art Jones is on the line right now. Hi, Art. Happy Easter morning to you.
Thank you.
Art, you've heard the news about what the governor has said. I presume it's very welcome for you guys that are out there slaving away to make sure we have supplies.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's three things that you got to have. You got to have a place to park the truck, you got to have a place to eat, and you have to have a place to go to the bathroom. And without something to eat, it's essential. You can't go to a McDonald's because you can't drive through the drive-through.
Yeah, your big rig won't make it through.
No, they wouldn't like it if I did.
Yeah. Hey, Art, how long have you been driving a truck?
Since 1981.
1981. And I presume some of your cohorts in the trucking business are pretty happy the governor is doing this as well?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, you got to have somewhere to go. I can't believe Pennsylvania, not to knock the state of Pennsylvania, shut down their rest areas. You can't even park your truck in there, let alone they put barriers right across the ramp. You can't get in there.
Well, that's terrible.
So you can't even park. There's nowhere to go.
Well, Bill, one of the things I want to make sure I conveyed to you is this. The truck drivers have sort of been the silent, unsung heroes of the coronavirus crisis because people are still getting foodstuffs at grocery stores. Fuel is available at the gas stations, and people are still able to get essential items. And Bill, as far as I know, all the things I've listed only get to the location because of truck drivers.
Right. And we delivered it before the virus, and we will deliver it after the virus.
Well, you guys certainly are the heroes.
We've done it forever, and I'm glad that somebody is finally figuring out what we are doing.
Yeah, that's right.
It makes the world go round.
Boy, I'll tell you, Art, it sure does. Well, please accept our thanks, and I promise you I will tell all our citizens, never take for granted again the truck drivers of America. You have a happy Easter, Art.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye now. Yeah, that was Art Jones, one of our Newton Falls truck drivers, and boy, he's really grateful that the governor's doing something to recognize the fact that they've got to have fuel for their bodies, decent food, good hot food that people that operate food trucks can deliver. Well, next we're going to have on the line an individual that is our fire chief for the Newton Falls Fire District, and that is Chief Doug Theobald. And I want to talk to him a little bit about how the coronavirus is having them operate things in a little bit different way. And the chief will be on the line in a second. Yeah, hi, Chief. David Lynch from Newton Falls. How are you this fine Easter morning?
I'm very well, Mr. Lynch. Happy Easter to you and everyone.
Thank you so much. We're reporting this morning a little bit on what's going on in the fire department. You also operate one of the most significant services we have, which is our emergency medical service for the Newton Falls Joint Fire District. Chief, what have you had to do differently now that you are in the midst of the coronavirus era?
Well, I would like to give you a little synopsis of how we do things differently.
Sure.
Every crew that reports to work every day no longer wears their uniform to work or from work, so they dress in the station, and so we're maintaining that we're not bringing it in. We're also make sure we don't bring it out if we were to ever have something on our station. We spend about the first hour and a half of every day deconning both the EMS unit and every single thing on our station.
Wait, but Chief, deconning means decontaminating, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So we decontaminate the squads, every piece of equipment in the squads, the cabs. Then we do our station. That goes all the way down to we spray and wipe every doorknob, every surface, every radio, every piece of equipment that we carry. So that's pretty much the beginning of our day. I wanted to share with you a couple things that maybe people would understand a little bit that would be different than our normal everyday response
Sure.
to them. First, I hope people will bear with us, but if we approach them, we may only approach with one single person, even though there are more people outside. We may discuss with them in the house a little bit, but we'll be wearing a mask and gloves, the minimum. Now, when you call 911, you're going to be asked a series of questions regarding the coronavirus that'll be different than your medical requirement. If you say yes to any of those, then that will come to us through our alert system, and we will definitely take some different procedures when we approach you. We may not bring any medical equipment in. We may ask if you're medically capable of walking outside of your house to meet us there. We also will be wearing much further protective clothing. You hear a lot about it on the news, the PPE, that is the masks, the gloves, the gowns that we would be wearing if you were to answer any of the questions. Yes. Now, I want to say that if you answer yes, that does not mean you have it. It just means that you have met some criteria that ups the level of protection that we are required to wear. So that would be the case. The other couple points I wanted to make to people is you may think that we're trying a little bit harder. We may try to encourage you not to go to the hospital if you don't have a serious life or death medical emergency. Now, that's not saying you don't have some need, and we may refer you to call your doctor or something
Sure.
else like that. But if you don't have a life or death medical, where maybe in the past we might have transported you, we are definitely going to try to encourage you not to go now.
Sure.
The other part is people want to understand we will take no family members in the EMS unit with us. I apologize for that difficulty sometimes, but it's just a medical procedure that we have to follow based on our protocol. So no one can ride from the family in the EMS unit. I want to caution people also going to the emergency room. You may not get back to see your family member just based on the control requirements that the emergency rooms have now to protect both the staff and the patient. So I'm not saying that someone shouldn't go to the emergency room, but understand you may not get back to see your loved one right away or at all, maybe, based on what their medical condition is.
Well, Chief, that makes sense. I mean, let's face it, this disease is so contagious that these extra precautions could be the difference between someone being infected and somebody not.
Correct. And the challenge, I think, for the medical field is the people who are carriers but don't show symptoms. And for someone with any type of compromised health, being around someone who may be a carrier, that could be the transmission for them. And so the hospital and EMS units and others are taking extraordinary precautions to protect the patients and the personnel.
Chief, those are your EMS calls, but you have to take extra precautions because of the virus as relates to fire calls as well. Isn't that true?
Correct. I mean, any person that we encounter has the potential of being a carrier, so we have to do that. So when you're encountering a structure fire, we're a little less in control of how we control the people that we encounter. We're generally, when you call for a fire, the dispatcher is not going to ask you all the coronavirus questions.
Sure.
So
sure.
that person could be. One of the things I think I wanted to point out is in this time of quarantine, I have seen it in the surrounding areas. We have seen a rise in some fires, and that's because I think a lot more people are home, and
Yep.
a lot more things are going on in their homes. So
Yeah, they're
again,
cooking at home. There's a lot more
correct.
cooking.
Yeah, people are not going to the restaurants as frequently. Children are home, and sometimes, you know how children are, they can get into mischief and things like that. So we've seen a rise in the structure fires in the county, actually, in the area around us. So I would again caution everyone to ensure that they have a working smoke detector and be familiar with all safety procedures that would be necessary to get out of a structure in the
Sure.
event that they think there's a fire.
Sure. Well, Chief,
but-
I just want to tell you that in Newton Falls, we appreciate you as the chief. We appreciate all the firefighters that are under your guidance. We appreciate all the EMS workers. To a great extent, you are our first line of defense. You know, so many of us are sheltered in our homes and protecting our own selves from the coronavirus. Meanwhile, you're rushing into harm's way in order to make sure we're safe. And Chief, we cannot say it enough times. Thank you to you and to all the fine men and women that are in the emergency medical service and in the fire service for the Newton Falls Joint Fire District. Thank you so much, Chief.
We thank you. I would like to tell you that I'm sure every chief feels the same, but we have some of the finest personnel anywhere, and they go on above beyond their everyday duties to ensure the safety of our community.
Well, we just wish peace and blessings to you and your family, all the firefighters and EMS workers, and finally, happy Easter. Thank you, Chief.
Yes, thank you very much. Have a safe and enjoyable Easter. We'll get through this.
God bless you, Chief, and goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
And that was our fire chief. And of course, that's Doug Theobald from the Newton Falls Joint Fire District. And what we're going to do right now is have a chance to shift gears maybe to a little bit more of the different branch of government, the legislative branch, Terry Albarrini.
Hey, David, happy Easter to you.
Yeah, happy Easter, Councilman Albarrini. You're live on the air in our Newton Falls coronavirus morning briefing here on Easter morning. And I thought I would call you, Councilman Albarrini, and have you talk a little bit about the way the coronavirus has impacted your participation as a member of the local municipal legislature, and then also how it's affected your family.
First of all, I appreciate the phone call. Happy Easter and blessings to all the residents of Newton Falls and the surrounding area. Here's what I would say. I think this virus has kind of been a message from God to reunite families. We're so busy in our hustle and bustle and things like that.
Yeah.
And sometimes we forget what family is about. And a lot of us are reconnecting with our families, our wives, our grandkids, our sons and daughters. And so I see God using us as a tool of bringing our families back together here in the community. Secondly, I've never seen so many people out walking in our neighborhoods as I have seen in the last couple of weeks. So people are participating outdoors. They're walking more than ever. Every time I'm out in my driveway, I think every resident that comes by and one stops and wants to talk and say hello and share things. And that's the way it used to be a long time ago, especially when I was growing up, where people communicated with each other. So on one thing, we could say it's a bad thing. On the other hand, it's actually turning out to be a really, really, really good thing.
Yeah. Well, you know, Councilman, and by the way, Councilman Albarrini is the Councilman at Large for the Newton Falls City Council. The other day at our council meeting, we had some very somber things to have to deal with. How does that affect you, knowing that you are the legislative representative of a municipality that's trying to maneuver its way through this crisis? I imagine it's quite a feeling of responsibility on your shoulders.
It is. I think we as council people, and it doesn't always show on TV, we do take it to heart. We try to make the best decisions with the information that we are at hand. And with this COVID-19 situation, the information is coming at all of us so fast. It's on your Facebook, it's on the news, it's on your Twitter, Instagram, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the information that you folks give us, you and the team there, the safety forces there, has been really, really, really good and solid information. So I feel confident that the decisions that we do make are the correct decisions based on that information that we do have at hand.
Councilman, before we say goodbye, I do want to talk about something that's unique to you, because although you are one of our outstanding members of City Council, you're also president of a company called U.S. Safety Gear, and they've been interfacing with suppliers of much of this emergency equipment, PPEs, and so forth, sitting in that very unique position right in the heart of the supply lines for emergency equipment. What are your observations about where we are as a country, where we enter the state of Ohio, and our state of preparedness right now? What do you think?
Well, a couple things. First of all, as a CEO of U.S. Safety Gear, we've been blessed. We've had our level of business has increased exponentially. I can tell you, along with that, though, the pressure to supply has been intense because we do business with some major corporations like Nestle Food, Berry Cheese, Brewster Dairy, Heinz, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So all those food service corporations are working 7 days a week, and so they're relying on us and our staff at U.S. Safety Gear, which are really great people, to make sure that the supply chain is full. And it's a challenge. Mentally, emotionally, we've been out helping the warehouse folks pack orders and things like that. And then on the other side, too, we've been able to help out a lot of the local communities as far as PPE. U.S. Safety Gear is considered an essential supplier in the big scheme of things. So we're kind of fortunate in that aspect. But we've probably fielded more phone calls and talked to more people in the last 6 weeks than I ever have in the whole entire 30-year career we've been in business. And fortunately for us, Mr. Lynch, we've been able to supply a lot of those folks and help a lot of people out. And I like to stay under the radar, but I'm glad that we're in a position to do so. I'm really happy about that. Our first responders are doing an outstanding job. Our road department locally, outstanding job. Water, sewer, et cetera. Can't say enough about all those folks. And you multiply that times over, and each and every community has folks that are out there in the front lines in this virus situation. So anyway, I'm real proud and real blessed to be able to help people out in this situation.
Well, Terry, I want to say on behalf of the city of Newton Falls, thank you not just for your legislative contribution, but the fact of the matter is that you've helped our police department, our fire department, and other departments with special gear such as the N95 masks. And these things are very hard to come by. And what a comfort it is to us that we have a warrior out there in the field making sure we have what we need. So, Terry, on behalf of our community, thank you.
Thank you for your kind words. And again, I wish all the residents of Newton Falls healthy, prosperous, happy Easter and all that stuff. And it's a great time to reflect and a great time of renewal and redemption. So thankful that we are born in the country, that we have the freedom to worship God. And I just want to pray a blessing over all of the community here in Newton Falls. And Mr. Lynch, I appreciate you. You've done an outstanding job for Newton Falls, and you have my utmost respect, sir.
Well, God bless you. Thank you. Happy Easter and good health and peace to you and your family. Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
And that was Councilman Terry Albarrini, Councilman at Large for the city of Newton Falls in a real unique position. How many municipalities can claim that one of their council people is a direct line source to the personal protective equipment that we so desperately need? We're blessed to have him around. Well, we're getting towards the end of the program. Throughout the community, we've been projecting some images at different locations. And Tom, if you'll run that video, I'll offer people a little commentary as after it gets dark tonight, where they can see some of these special images that the city of Newton Falls is projecting around town. That image you're looking at right now is over at the Direct International building on First Street. And the next image that's coming up is the image of our water tower, which for Thursday and Friday night have had that gold cross on a purple field. Special colors will be on the water tower for Easter itself going forward. And this next image is over there at the Chase Bank building at Broad Street and Canal. And that's a privately owned building, so that image is merely projected onto it. The Lord is my shepherd from the 23rd Psalm, one of my favorites. And the next image, which is the last one, is what you'll see also on the Direct International building, beginning with Easter and going forward several days thereafter, just to remind people what the season is. Well, that brings to a close another one of our morning briefings. This is the Easter briefing, and we are we're getting some particular interfering activity for just a moment, but I wanted to say to everybody, Happy Easter. Appreciate your participating and watching the morning briefing today for April 12th. And as I always close the projects and the broadcasts every single morning, I want to say, God bless America and God bless the city of Newton Falls.